morning, everybody. It is 8:04 a.m. here in New York City. We have a new open for the holidays. I just found out when
Why
Michelle.
not? Why not? Oh, and you have a Salty Politics shirt on.
Oh, yes,
I'm
I
noticing
do.
that.
Because that was
I didn't know you
only
had merch.
I don't have merch. Somebody gave me this. This is
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, and I'm wearing this not because I'm trying to promote salty politics. I'm wearing this because I haven't done laundry in 2 weeks, and this is the only thing that's
I know.
clean.
Isn't that funny? I always am like, well, if I'm wearing something kind of like no one's ever seen before, or it's something that's like almost inappropriately too nice for the occasion, they're like, oh, why are you all dressed up? And I'm like, because I haven't done laundry in 3
I
weeks.
haven't done
That's why.
laundry, and we're leaving for the holidays tomorrow, and I'm debating: do I do laundry or do I just?
Yeah. Do you have
It's,
laundry in your apartment?
I am one of the very few lucky New Yorkers who does,
Wow.
so I don't have to even go anywhere to do it. I'm just being lazy. That's
I
all.
mean, yeah, yeah.
It's a thing people don't understand. People who don't live in New
Oh,
York
no,
don't
no.
like. You have to
I mean,
actually
ours
go.
is yeah, ours is in the basement, but it's still like you have to get in the service elevator. Person who works in our building has to get in with us, take us down. You can only use it till 10 o'clock, like quarters or a little car. It's very annoying, you
That's
know.
when you start sending out, Michelle. Anyway, what was that show yesterday?
Oh my gosh, Julie, it was, listen, the fact that all three major networks allowed this broke he wasn't going on. So okay, Donald Trump addressed the nation last night at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. My I think I tweeted this. My summary was Biden, transgender for everyone. Everything was bad. Biden, except for when it's good, and that's me, your favorite president, Donald Trump. Biden. So,
So there's a little tea about how this all came about. That's being
oh,
reported now.
I didn't know about this.
Yes.
Please, pray tell.
The reason this wacko address took place in the first place, and I want to just be clear, they interrupted the season finale of the Survivor on CBS, which is seen, I think it was over 7 million people who were
Yeah,
watching, were pissed off
I bet.
that he had to do this. And apparently the networks only gave him 15 to 20 minutes to do this, which is why he ranted and raved like a crazy person and rushed through it. Because rather than cutting down his address to fit in that time limit, he just decided to do as much
Oh yeah.
Biden stuff as
Mhm.
possible. And like, it was actually, I'm not even saying this from a partisan perspective. I thought it was very difficult to understand what he was saying because he was going so fast and being so boring. And there was no cadence to it. But the reason he did this apparently is because Susie Wiles made him. And they threw this all together very, very quickly to detract from the Vanity Fair article, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, Andy Kim tweeted this, by the way. Can't wait to hear what Susie Wiles thinks of this insane speech 6 months from now.
So Andy Kim is, I gotta say, Andy Kim, who just got to the
Andy Kim.
Andy Kim, who just got to the Senate, literally just got there 2 years ago, or not even a year ago now.
Yeah.
Is hilarious.
Oh, he's great. And he's also doing a really good job. I mean, when I saw him questioning FCC chair Brennan Carr the other day, I was like, he cleaned his clock, and it's very good, very effective. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he got off the air, immediately turned to Susie Wiles and Dan Scavino and asked how he did. And they're like, "You did great, Mr. President." Of course, what else would they say? Because that's
right. Yeah, they're going to fillet him in whichever way possible. Right.
And then, well, it wasn't actually her. It was Dan Scavino, Stephen Chung, Caroline Levitt, and Natalie Harp, that weirdo, the human facts, whatever she is.
Yeah.
But then, apparently, according to reporters who were in the room, including the Independent's White House correspondent Dan Feinberg, he then said to them that Susie Wiles told him he had to give the address to the nation. And it's fascinating. And then that actually was confirmed by other reporters. Laura Rosen, who's a freelancer, who's amazing. I don't know if you guys follow her on Twitter. You should. She's really good. But he basically said the same things. Susie, quote, Susie told me I had to give an address to Nation. They went back and forth on length, and he said, how did I do? Weil said, I told you 20 minutes, and you were 20 minutes on the dot.
And Stephen Miller was like, let's fit in as many words as possible. We had to
Yeah.
say some Nazi stuff. We had to say,
But
I mean, there was some really, really ugly, ugly things about immigrants and you know, people basically who aren't white. I have a few clips here. People, you know, I did watch it live because it's, you know, part of my job to do so. We watch so you don't have to. But here are a few clips. So if you don't want to hear his voice, you know, turn away. Here's the first clip where he says that he inherited a mess.
Good evening, America. 11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it. When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years, and some would say in the history of our country.
Do you ever notice he's like, I inherited a mess. And then he goes and says, you know, this is where the Bidening and transgender for everybody. Transgender for everybody.
This is what the Biden administration allowed to happen to our country, and it can never be allowed to happen again. We had men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, crime at record levels with law enforcement, and words such as that just absolutely forbidden. We had
words such as that.
So law enforcement was forbidden. Hey, Michelle, by the way, and everybody in the chat, Merry Christmas, because I think this is the first time in many years we're actually allowed to say that.
Yeah, I didn't say it last year.
No. You would be arrested for saying that last year, Michelle. But now that President Trump is back in office, we could all wish each other Merry Christmas.
I know we had a devout Catholic in the White House, but you know, no Christmas for us.
They canceled Christmas under Joe Biden, but Merry Christmas, everybody.
We were all living under Sharia law.
Yeah. Could I just fact check a few things here? And I truly hate to even spend any time on this shit show because this was done, as we talked about, to detract from Vanity Fair. P.S. Susie Wiles, it's not going to work. But, you know, first of all, he promised a 1776 warrior dividend.
Oh,
Christmas
yeah.
Even though Congress is the one that controls the purse strings, and they haven't decided to give out a 1776 warrior dividend for Christmas.
To the United States, their holiday bonus is $1,776, which Tim Miller tweeted out. He says, congratulations to the United States military, who will be receiving a smaller bonus than our junior editors at the Bulwark. So, yeah, anyways.
Yeah. There you go. Well, I'm glad Tim Miller and the Bulwark are doing well enough to give out bonuses. That's great. Yeah. Then he bragged that gas was under $2.50 across much of the country and even $1.99 in many states. Now, federal data, his own federal data, shows an average of $2.90, and there's not one state at $1.99. Not one. He claimed to have slashed drug prices by as much as 600%. That is mathematically impossible. They will be paying you to take drugs if that were the case. He said that they attracted 18 trillion in new investment. Complete bullshit. You know how I know that? Because his own White House puts the number below 10 trillion. So, and I don't believe that number either. He insisted that more Americans are working than ever. Meanwhile, unemployment, according to his own administration, has hit 4-year highs.
Yeah, it's almost like 5%, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He declared the affordability crisis fixed. Food prices, as anybody who's been to the grocery store know, have been skyrocketing, and inflation is around 3%, the same exact number that it was when Joe Biden was president.
Right.
Wow. So what I want to actually focus on, and I think, Michelle, why we started Mayday, is that this was a campaign speech. I mean, he wasn't announcing hostilities with anybody. He wasn't announcing some major new initiative. He was just completely, just he was just completely lying about everything.
Oh yeah,
And
just
and the
from like
and
8
what
seconds
I
in.
yeah, and what upsets me is that they gave him a primetime slot to do it.
Yep.
Under normal circumstances, that would not happen. But here's the problem. CBS is now controlled by Paramount Skydance, who is trying to do a hostile takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery. They need Trump, so they're going to interrupt The Apprentice, which I couldn't care less about personally, but people seem to really love.
You mean Survivor?
Survivor, excuse me. Apprentice was long canceled. Survivor.
I was
Uh,
like, maybe you know something
no,
that
but
I don't know.
what's interesting is they didn't negotiate a different day with him, which is what they would typically do. They would
Right.
typically say, "Hey, Mr. President, do it maybe today, maybe when the Survivor is not happening."
Right.
They did. They allowed him to interrupt Survivor.
They're all afraid that they're going to get sued.
Yeah.
Oh, if we don't give it to him, he's going to sue us.
Comcast, which owns NBC, is terrified. That's why they spun off MSNBC, which is now MS Now, into Versant. And of course, Disney, we know how scared they are because they gave him a $15 million bribe to leave them alone a year ago. So, which owns at EBC and Fox. We don't even need to talk about Fox as Fox. So you have all of this corporate media that is just terrified of him, and they're giving him prime time. I mean, literally, it's called prime time for a reason. Prime real estate on television. Spew bullshit, and it's a campaign speech. It's a rally. I mean, he basically had what he.
Oh, yeah.
It's a rally. And I think that just says something about the importance of what we're doing here. I think it says something about the importance of YouTube more broadly.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just really quick, I didn't pull any a screenshot or anything about this, but there's a negotiation with the Academy Awards. I think that it's what 2029 or 2028. They're going to start showing the Academy Awards on YouTube. And I sent the thing to Julie and I said, "There it is. There it is." And personally, you know, I already watch YouTube like TV. Like I have it on my Apple TV and I just watch it all day long. And I have channels that I like to subscribe to. And I watched like Jimmy Kimmel and The Bulwark and some other places. And I watch that 10 times more than I do actual television. And I think that negotiation and that contract signed with the Academy of Motion Pictures is so major. I think that really is the writing on the wall to where we're going here. And the fact also that, you know, legacy media is dying. And
linear television is dying. But the fact that they gave him that kind of space without any kind of fact checking, to MSNBC's, to MS Now's credit, they actually they fact checked him in real time. I mean, they had chyrons underneath basically calling bullshit.
Yep.
But you know, the fact that CBS and ABC and NBC just gave him this airtime without saying, "Mr. President, what exactly are you talking about? Like, what do you?"
There was no new information. I mean, there was. It was brought up by, you know, there. I did see a few tweets or outlets talking like they're just independent reporters saying, using examples of when the major broadcasters refused to do this, one of which was Barack Obama's new immigration policy, which was actual policy that needed to be communicated to the American people, and the major networks said no. But this, where Donald Trump wasn't giving any new information to the American people, again, out of fear and or compliance with Donald Trump's regime, they said okay. So that he could go on national television and complain about Joe Biden. And
it's sorry, Michelle, but it's not just that. It's that we have, you know, there's a lot of synergy. They're all about synergies. So there's synergy between, for example, Fox, which is what The Simpsons are on. So Fox broadcast, Fox News, which is obviously a propaganda arm of the Republican Party in the White House, and the New York Post, which is the propaganda arm of Fox News. It's a vicious cycle. The Post reports it, and then Fox reports it, or vice versa. Fox reports it, and the Post reports it. And then, of course, the Wall Street Journal. And the Wall Street Journal has try to walk the line between being a propaganda arm of the Republican Party, which their editorial page typically is, and being the respectable newspaper that Rupert Murdoch promised and swore the family that owned Dow Jones it would remain if they sold to him.
Right.
But today, Michelle, I think you have a screenshot of this. They had a story.
Oh, yes, they did. I don't have it loaded in yet because I still have some of this other stuff up about the speech. There's just a couple more things sorry, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just gonna, Tom Nichols, who's a bit of a curmudgeon, but I do enjoy his commentary and his writing about these things. He wrote in The Atlantic this morning, I thought was really good. He said, "This is what presidential panic looks like," and how he delivered a fear-drenched rant live from the White House. You know, I happen to agree, and I like the way that he describes some of these things because it's so it's intellectual and snarky all at the same time. The president of the United States just barged into America's living room like an angry, confused grandfather to tell us all that we are ungrateful whelps. And there was a couple other things here that I liked. He says we could take part in Trump's fake facts as checkers and pundits will do in the next few days, like you were saying, Julie, on MS Now. But perhaps more important than false statements, which for Trump are par for the course, was his demeanor. Americans saw a president drenched in panic as he tried to bully an entire nation into admitting he's doing a great job. For 20 minutes, he vented his hurt feelings without a molecule of empathy or awareness. Economic concerns? Shut up, you fools. The economy is doing fine. And if it isn't, it's not his fault. It's Joe Biden's. Foreign policy jitters? Zip it, you wimps. America is strong and respected. And he makes a good point here too. He's like, I consider myself a connoisseur of Trump's speeches, which I think you and I do too, Julie. There's not one that I usually miss, unfortunately. But he says, and Tom Nichols is a Russia expert. I can only imagine America's enemies in Moscow and Beijing and Tehran are smiling with pleasure as they watched a president losing his bearings, berating his own people, and demanding that they absolve him of any blame when things get worse. I mean, this is just, again, this is the Rob Reiner. This is where I hope that his people, after the Rob Reiner thing, after the affordability stuff, I know that there's always going to be, but I hope that the people that maybe just kind of reluctantly voted for Donald Trump will start to see more of like how much he's full of shit and how angry and unempathetic and what a terrible person he is. And not support, to your point, what is being floated. And the New York Times, or not the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal reported on this, and I'm just going to load this in now. Alan Dershowitz has written a book, and in that book, they talk, apparently he makes the argument legally that Donald Trump can run for a third, Jesus. I mean, it feels like third term. It's crazy. It's illegal. And the problem here is, so let me just put this up first. This kind of started this week, at least in the news cycle. Is it Marian Adelson?
Marian Adelson, yep.
Yeah, she's the owner of some basketball team, right? I forget.
No. She was the owner. No, she owns all the casinos. She owns the Venetian in Vegas. No, they're a big casino. I mean, the Adelsons propped up Netanyahu. They propped up Trump from day one. He's now dead. Sheldon Adelson, good riddance.
Right,
yeah. Spending this money.
Well, she said, I met Alan Dershowitz. He said, 4 more years. We can do it. Think about it. And the whole crowd starts chanting 4 more years. And Trump said, she said, think about it. I'll give you another 250 million. Ha 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 ha. So funny. And here's the problem here. Problem here is that headline. That's a major problem because, again, they are reporting on this like it's totally normal. And this is like a normal, reasonable argument to be making. And it's not. It's unconstitutional because Donald Trump is a dictator and he's trying to remain in office for the rest of his life. So the headline here, if you're listening and not watching, it says Trump told by Alan Dershowitz constitutionality of third term is unclear. Now, the Wall Street Journal here is not writing anywhere in this, because then the next line down says Trump's former lawyer presented him with his forthcoming book that concludes the Constitution is ambiguous on the question. That and then let me just go here to the second part of this screenshot I have here. It goes into this thing about the book that he receives and la di da. And, and then in an interview, Alan Dershowitz said this. And then in a meeting in the office, they said this. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs down. And the last line of that fourth paragraph, do they finally say the Constitution bars anyone from being elected to the White House more than twice?
Well, let me say this. The Supreme Court is taking up a birthright case right now, even though that is perfectly clear that if you are born on American soil, with very few exceptions, like you're the son of a diplomat or the daughter of a diplomat, but anybody else, you're American. Sorry. You may not like it, but it's true. You may not like that people come here to give birth so they can get an American passport for their kids. The law's the law.
Right.
But the Supreme Court is going to jump through hoops to find a loophole to make that not be the law. Otherwise, they would just dismiss this altogether and not even take into this case.
Yep.
We have an act. It's not even an act of a Supreme Court. We have political operatives masquerading as justices on this court.
Activists, judges.
And they find some reason,
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. Let me go Wall Street Journal here. Oh wait, no, this is the wrong article. I think that's the transcript to that awful speech. But no, and the Brian Schwartz, he's the reporter who wrote the story. And he writes in a tweet, right, with the article, Trump privately spoke with his former impeachment attorney, Alan Dershowitz, who we all know, by the way, is part of the Epstein situation, about potentially being president for a third term. Dershowitz presented Trump a draft of his upcoming book called Could President Trump Constitutionally Serve a Third Term? That's the name of the book. They discussed Dershowitz's conclusion on a potential Trump third term. Again, even in the tweet, now maybe his editors are saying, oh, you can't write it in the thing. Like, even when he presents the information in a tweet from his own account, is not spelling it out. And this again, and I want to just play some of this here. This was Steve Bannon, I think just a couple months ago in an interview talking about this. They've been talking about this. And this is why when these people tell us what they are going to do, we have the responsibility to believe them. So I'm just going to play this really quick.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. And the way we finish it through Trump. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand coherence of the things you've just told me in the last few minutes. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through, Zanny, and define all those terms.
But even if you find a way to undermine you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it. And to those
Can the American people, if the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's what it sounds like.
It's not. Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I guess that's why
on his
seems to me
on
some
his
kind
policy.
of tension
First
there.
off, the only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people.
I mean, again, like this, they've been telling us this. They've been telling us this. They're going to find a way. He's going to, as long as he's alive, he is going to run. I mean, do you agree with that, Julie?
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know. I think I don't think he likes the job. I think he likes the power, and I think he likes the pomp, and I think he's addicted to everybody sucking up to him. And I think that more importantly, he is addicted to the fact that he's on the run from the law, and the minute he leaves, there's a Democrat in power.
Yeah,
they're going to go after him. But I also think he's exhausted, and he's sick.
Yeah, I mean,
by the way, so is Bannon, because if you look at how red Bannon's face is,
oh God, I mean, you want to talk about yeah, and he's in a lot of the photographs, in these Epstein.
Well, he was doing a documentary on Epstein, trying to rehabilitate him. All those emails are out.
17 hours.
Yeah, but he's. The reason I think he's not leaning into this the way he's leaning into other stuff that's clearly unconstitutional, like birthright, is that I'm not so sure he wants the gig. I'm not so sure that he doesn't. I think he just wants to. I think he wants the power, and I think he wants the glory without. And I think he certainly wants to avoid having any kind of legal problems arise for him, which now he won't have to, because the Supreme Court has basically said he can do whatever the hell he wants.
Right.
But I'm not so sure he doesn't want to go down to Mar-a-Lago and just be the president, in not exile is not the word, but I mean, he's going to get all the same people sucking up to him at Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. For the rest of his life.
Yeah. I just don't think he wants a Democrat. I just don't think he wants a Democrat in charge.
Yeah. And I think that, and here's where that split, right? In the MAGA and America First split is going to happen. And if the next people in power are not necessarily his people, but the next iteration of MAGA, I also have to kind of wonder what that means for him. But in the meantime, Julie, like you said, he loves the power. He Jesus, I can't every day, all day long with the sirens. There's sometimes, Julie, I'm like, I really need to go to the country.
Come on.
In the woods and not here.
Come on out to Pennsylvania anytime between now and New Year's. We will be there.
Listen, you don't be careful. Be careful what you offer.
Serious,
I might move in.
There's plenty of room. Go ahead.
But so Trump, he's addicted to people sucking up to him, but he loves just being a little bitch too. Like, and he is a little bitch. And he loves like being mean, and he hates Democrats. He hates Joe Biden because Joe Biden beat him. He hates Barack Obama because Barack Obama humiliated him, and he's black. And then, you know, he hates Bill Clinton. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So Donald Trump, I know you saw this. Donald Trump created a wall of plaques and photographs of previous presidents. Now, the photographs have been there for several weeks, but I believe it was like Von Hilliard or somebody like that noticed that there were plaques underneath them. Now let me just pull this up so I can see this with my own eyeballs closer to my face. I'm just going to put this up here. So this is what they say. It's crazy. So Trump's White House added a new Biden plaque to the Presidential Walk of Fame. Now, he did them to all the pictures, but this one in particular says, Sleepy Joe Biden was by far, this is at the White House, this is at the White House, outside the Oval Office on that wall. Sleepy Joe Biden was by far the worst president in American history, taking office as a result of the most corrupt election ever seen in the United States. Biden oversaw a series of unprecedented disasters that brought our nation to the brink of destruction. His policies caused the highest inflation ever recorded. I mean, this goes on and on and on. His Afghanistan disaster was almost the most humiliating events in American history. Then he goes on to talk about how it's his fault that Russia invaded Ukraine. Hamas terrorists launched the heinous October 7th attack on Israel. Then he keeps going because one plaque was not enough. He needs a second. Nicknamed both sleepy and crooked, Joe Biden was dominated by his radical left handlers. They and their allies in the fake news media attempted to cover up his severe mental decline, projecting, and his unprecedented use of the autopen, also projecting. Following his humiliating debate loss to President Trump in the big June 2024 debate, he was forced to withdraw from his campaign for re-election in disgrace. Biden weaponized law enforcement against his political opponent while also persecuting many other innocent people, blah, blah, blah. The last line, and then he talks about the Biden crime family, and this is, but despite it all, President Trump would get reelected in a landslide and save America. And here is... here's just more. It says, let's see, the President Walk of Fame was conceived, built, and dedicated by President Donald J. Trump as a tribute to the past presidents, good, bad, and somewhere in the middle, who served our country and gave up so much in so doing. The Presidential Walk of Fame will long live as a testament and tribute to the greatness of America, dedicated on November 5th, 2025.
Okay.
This is all reading like a Truth Social rant.
Yeah.
Each one of these.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Uh-huh.
The next president is going to have a lot of shit to clean up, and it's going to be very serious stuff, right? Like serious stuff. And it's going to need more than one term to clean up. Like before we even get to the good, we got to get rid of the bad. This stuff is not seemingly on a list of important things that person needs to do. However, I swear in all that is holy that if the next Democratic president does not immediately tear down that ballroom, does not immediately tear down this shit, does not immediately take down all the gilded shit, does not immediately tear down the Arc de Triomphe, that he's building on the National Mall. If that doesn't happen, I'm not voting for that person, because this to me is important. I know people will say it's just aesthetics and who cares. It's no.
They didn't leave up Adolf Hitler's Nazi shit all over the place. Like that stuff got torn down.
Exactly. This has got to be uprooted by the fucking root. Root and branch.
I'm in total agreement with you. And I think that there should be like restoring decency task force or something like that. Like that this is their job to you know how like the White House always had an office that were like they wrote thank you notes to people and things like that. Some extension of that that has to do with restoring the White House, restoring the city of Washington, D.C., restoring, honor back to the presidency, like something like that. And there should be somebody that's the head of it. And then there should be people in charge of it. There should be money allocated to it. And what's going to happen, Michelle, when they rebuild the East Wing, and they better rebuild it,
I mean,
Mhm.
seriously, I understand there needs to be a ballroom. I get all of that, but it needs to look like it's part of the White House complex and not some
I mean,
crazy
I
shit that's
don't
3
know.
times bigger.
Yeah.
Republicans are going to start screaming. I can't believe we're wasting money on this when so many
Oh yeah.
important things are happening in this
Oh
world.
yeah.
They're going to start screaming and going nuts that American
Mhm.
taxpayers are being forced to
Yep.
spend money on construction. Like, you could call it now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Democrats, because they always do, are going to be like, "Oh, heavens to Betsy, we don't want to be accused of wasting money
No.
on Fox News, and we don't want like, no, 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 no."
This is where
Take
I
a
want
piece out of
somebody like
Trump.
Gavin
Yeah, I
because
want somebody like
Gavin
Donald
Newsom
Trump.
won't back. Yeah.
I
I
want,
was like that not going to back down from something like that
yep,
because it
don't care.
matters. It matters. This stuff
Matters.
matters. And I was thinking about this too because we all know that the 250th anniversary of the country is next year under the umbrella of the Donald Trump administration, and there's going to be a UFC fight on the south lawn of the White House. Like, oh my God. And then, you know, then we're dealing with the Olympics in 2028 and the World Cup. There's so many things that he's going to be kind of overseeing or in charge of or is going to make about himself. And then I realized next year also is the 25th anniversary of September 11th. And he's going to be there for that too. And it's just like how he is representative of anything that this country has stood for is so upsetting. And so it's like there's no honor. There's no honor to anything that we're doing anymore. And I think, good God, do you hear this? It's
Mhm.
all day, every day. And it's there's no honor, there's no decency, and I think that these things really do matter to people. I really do. And I think that, again, and we've talked about this with Jeff Jarvis on Friday, is like how important it will be for the Democrats, because the media certainly isn't going to do it, to have the receipts ready. So when this does happen and the Republican starts running their mouths and like bitching like little bitches, you're going to have like roll the tape, roll the tape. And it's going to be all of them being like, the ballroom is beautiful and we need money for this and let Donald Trump do this. And listen, maybe it'll matter, maybe it won't, but receipts are important. And I just want to show a couple more of these. I'm not going to read the whole thing, obviously, but like this one is Barack Hussein Obama, the first Black president, community organizer, one-term senator, one of the most divisive political figures in American history. I mean, it's just, it goes on and on and on. And the last line is his handpicked successor, Hillary Rodham Clinton, would then lose the presidency to Donald J. Trump. Here again, Bill Clinton's plaque here, which is also terrible. And he I don't know how he does it, but finds a way to mention himself in just about everything. And then again, the last line is in 2016, President Clinton's wife, Hillary, lost the presidency to President Donald J. Trump. Again, the whole thing, it's largely defined by the events of September 11th. Then he goes into saying that the war on terror, went into Afghanistan and Iraq, both of which should not have happened. I mean, he takes this opportunity to make digs at every single president before him. Failed Bay of Pigs. I mean, it's disgusting. He even takes a little bit of a dig at Ronald Reagan, but I think it's more for himself because very early on in the plaque, he mentions that Ronald Reagan was a Hollywood actor, president of the Screen Actors Guild, governor and I think that those things matter to him. And I think he sees himself as like a Hollywood guy a little bit because he had a TV show, and I think it makes him feel legitimate. And this is equally terrible. He mentions here at the end, that after leaving office, Jimmy Carter dedicated much of his life to humanitarian work. I'm reading this and I go, oh, that's nice. Yes. Including Habitat for Humanity. Yes. And then the last line, many feel that President Carter was more successful after his presidency than during it. He did wonderful things for humanity! Exclamation point. So now that we've all seen
Humanity's
this,
capitalized, by the way, which is, I mean,
which
it's
is
not even
weird, and why
correct.
is there an exclamation point on a plaque? It's very strange. But
I
again, like
mean,
all of these are tweets. They're all tweets. They're tweets in plaque form. That's what they are.
he's deranged, and he's
Yes.
using our taxpayer dollars for
Yeah.
this.
You and I paid for that. Everybody, if you're listening
Yeah.
to this and you live in the United States of America, you paid for those plaques. You paid for them with your hard-earned money. When you went to work and you got your paycheck, those taxes that were taken out of it paid for those.
And again, when your taxes are going to be hopefully taken out to pay for the cleanup of this, the Republicans are going to be screaming bloody murder.
Oh yeah, because you know,
Bloody
fiscal
murder,
conservative.
because we don't know how to communicate, and we're not putting a marker down right now. I mean,
Yeah.
if I were Gavin Newsom, or if I were anybody who's thinking about running in 2020, I mean, I don't care if you're Gretchen Whitmer, if you're Gavin Newsom, you know,
She's not gonna do anything.
Josh Shapiro, she's not going to do anything. Josh Shapiro, he's not going to do anything either. Any of these people, like, I'm advising you, my friends, this is an easy one. You put out a tweet and you say, the next, you don't have to even talk about yourself. The next president better tear this shit down root and branch. And I will tell you, people will flock to your campaign.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
You
then
will
double
flock.
down on it when if people call you out or anything like that. Oh, that's
Double
what you
down, double down.
Yeah. Well,
Double
you
down.
weren't you on and I don't mean this as a dig to Chris Jansen. I think she's lovely, but I think you were on her show, I think, and you said something about tearing down the ballroom, and she's like, "Well, not really." And you were like, "Yes,
No,
really."
no. Oh, totally. Yeah. She was like, well, no, it's not going to happen. Really? Because
Why
I'll
not?
get the goddamn excavator myself.
Yeah, why not? He's building Arc de Trump, for God's sakes. Like, this is where I'm like, oh my God, people. He's building Arc de Trump. This is Back to the Future Part 2 with the Pleasure Palace and the thing outside with like, this is the story of Biff Tannen. And like, it's just this is what is happening. It couldn't have been more clear and predicted. And you know, same with Melania. And she was paid a $40 million bribe, essentially, from Jeff Bezos to make a film about her.
Do we have that? Do we have that clip,
Oh,
Michelle?
do we? Do we? So everybody knows, if you didn't see this in like the pile of Jurassic Park dinosaur shit that was yesterday, there is a trailer that was released yesterday of Melania's movie. Okay. Let's all watch together as a family, shall we?
Here we go again.
You can come in. Come on in. My proudest legacy will be that of peacemaker.
Peacemaker in the fire. Beautiful. Together, with like-minded leaders, we have a voice. Is it safe?
It is safe.
Everyone wants to know. So here it is. Hi, Mr. President. Congratulations.
Did you watch it?
I did not. Yeah, I will see it on the news.
First of all, I weep for MGM.
Oh, horrible.
I weep for that line that roared
Oh, yeah.
for some of the greatest movies ever made and is now roaring for this.
Mm-hmm.
Second, everybody wants to know. No, nobody wants to know.
Nobody.
This thing's going to flop, and
Oh, yeah, it's propaganda.
you know it's
Yeah.
going to flop, and there's going to be a write down for Amazon, and that's
Like,
fine.
$40 million for them is like
It's
chump
going to be
change.
it's going to be a write off. It's fine. It's going to be a write off, and they don't give a shit because this is not about anything other than Jeff Bezos's space program, and he wants obviously he wants the federal government to help out with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who's going to watch this? Honestly, who the fuck is going to watch this?
Sorry, Julia's dad.
All right,
Yeah.
like, seriously.
You know, I was watching the trailer, and I'm like, there's one thing that the Trump administration got very right this time around, and it is the cinematic, glossy style in which they are documenting and filming everything that they do. It is beautifully filmed. It's very well edited. You know,
Well,
you
they're
know,
not paying for that. Amazon is. They
well,
had cameras.
no,
Yeah.
but even so, I mean, listen, I'm sure that there's a lot of things about editorial control and things like that. I'm sure they wanted to use some of their own people they knew, but the even so, like the things that they have been filming, the White House has been filming and putting out, you know, whether it's the CCOT, you know, arrivals, or troops in the streets of Los Angeles, to Kristi Noem riding through the sunset on a horse. You know, all of these things that are being filmed as propaganda pieces are all very, very beautiful. And the thing is, I mean, the technology has made that even more, you know, easy to do, I guess you could say, because you know, you're not dealing with like rigs and things like that, because you know, the cinematic cameras are much easier to come by now, and finding people to do this without needing a huge crew or anything. But it's, you know, they figured it out. Like, this is a very smart and glossy way to get their message out, and for them to like to legitimize it, really. And that's what this film, they're trying to do with this as well. It looks, I mean, it looks nice. You know, if you don't know who those people are and you don't know what the subject matter is. But Melania Trump, the other part of this is so funny. It's like Melania Trump hates this. She hates this, and she hates
She
him.
loves the money. She loves that sweet, sweet
She
cash.
loves, like,
Don't forget, I mean, it's the look, Melania is beyond complicit. Melania
oh
is
yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, the Melania meme coin,
Mhm.
this stuff, um, she doesn't care. She doesn't
Mm-mm.
care, and I'll tell you why she doesn't care. She came to this country to
Mhm.
make some cash and marry rich, and
Yes,
she
she
did.
did.
And she married a scumbag, and she knows she married a scumbag. She doesn't care because she
Mhm.
married rich. And now she's monetizing his presidency the same way she monetized her marriage.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, Melania Trump, and that's the thing too, is like I think a lot of the women in Trump's orbit seem to get some sort of a pass. I don't know why, but the women in his orbit are just as complicit and just as enabling as anybody else, including Ivanka, including Melania. Um, you know, when you sign up for something like this and you don't push back against it, and you don't speak up, and you don't say anything, and you continue to go along with it, like, yeah, you're a part of it. And I think they're just as bad as he is, just as bad.
Yep.
Melania Nouse. And I mean, and here's the other thing too, is, you know, I wonder what will happen with Michael Wolff's
Lawsuit.
lawsuit against her.
They'll keep postponing and postponing and postponing and running out the clock. I mean, that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they do. And they're just gonna, and then, you know, eventually, after he leaves, if he ever leaves, they'll do some sort of quiet settlement. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
He'll never, she'll never get deposed. Ever. Or even if she does get deposed, she'll just lie, because
Yeah, because why not?
who's going to hold her accountable?
Right. Like, well,
Who's
you
going
can't
to hold
trap
her
a
accountable?
woman. Right. And this is all, you know, in the background of the Epstein files supposedly getting released tomorrow. But the Ghislaine Maxwell situation has kind of muddied the waters here, right?
With what? You're talking about what Susie Wiles said about Ghislaine Maxwell?
No, she file something, hold on,
Oh, I don't
Ghislaine.
know. This is
Oh,
breaking
yes.
news too.
I saw this morning. Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell asks court to set aside her conviction. So she has asked the court to basically overturn her conviction. And she did that in the last day. And so people are saying that this could muddy the waters.
No?
What's that?
Didn't the Supreme Court already say no?
I mean, I don't know to what extent. Yeah, she
Listen.
asks a judge to throw out her sex abuse conviction. Ms. Maxwell conspired with Jeffrey Epstein, blah, blah, blah. She's serving a 20-year prison sentence. Said substantial new evidence supporting her claim had emerged from related civil lawsuits, government disclosures, and investigative reports and other sources. Quote, the cumulative effect of these constitutional violations constitutes a complete miscarriage of justice, she wrote. The filing comes 2 days before the Justice Department is to release a trove of confidential grand jury records and other materials from the government's long-running investigations of Ms. Maxwell and Mr. Epstein under a law President Trump signed last month, the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The law requires the materials disclosure by December 19th, which is tomorrow.
There are loopholes in that disclosure that Congress, I think, maybe anticipated, maybe not, but there are 3 things that Trump's going to do. There's 4 things that Trump's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
One is he's going to just disclose everything. That's never, ever, ever going to happen, because even if he claims to have disclosed everything, it's not going to be a full disclosure, because there's not going to be anything in there about Donald Trump that is remotely embarrassing to Trump. And you and I both know full well, as is everybody else watching the show, that if there was really nothing embarrassing to Trump, he would have released this a long time ago, because why deal with the headache that he's been dealing with from his own base?
Right.
Bing Bong is leaving, by the way, and I think that's not a
Yeah.
Bing Bong is leaving.
Yep.
Two, because I think Bing Bong actually was disturbed by how this was handled, and he's going to go back and make money.
He seems to be the one, there have been reports that he's the only one there that is like even remotely interested in doing the work.
Yeah, and he's also mentally ill.
And that's a stretch.
Yeah. Right. Two, they're going to just ignore and say, not doing it. And there 3 and 4 are the predicates for which they're going to do this. One is that this law says that if there's an active investigation happening, they don't have to disclose. There is an active investigation happening into Bill Clinton, into other Democrats, that Donald Trump told Pam Bondi to launch. And within a day, she was like, yes, Mr. President, I will do that. Yep. So that's now happening. So that's the excuse for why they're not going to release it. One, the second excuse is if it has to do with national security or it's classified information. And I promise you that the only way that this could be classified information is the president has a wide discretion to classify something. He can't do it because to avoid personal embarrassment, quote unquote. But he's not going to say that. He's just going to say, he doesn't have to explain why he's classifying something. He's just going to classify it. He may say that anything related to him is a national security threat that could be exploited by our adversaries. And so therefore he's not going to do that. There are a million ways that he can classify something and make it sound semi-plausible. He could say that Jeffrey Epstein was working for a foreign intelligence service, and we'll have to take him at his word. I mean, there's so many
Israelis or Saudis or whatever it is. Yeah.
Like, sources and methods. I mean, there's so many ways that he can do this that I'm surprised they haven't done it already. And I'm not sure why they're waiting to do this till the very last minute.
Because it looks even more suspect, honestly, if they do it at the last minute.
Well,
and I mean, do you think? I mean, I think so. Because it looks desperate.
I think they're going to release some bullshit stuff. And I think the problem that they're struggling with right now is even if they released every last tranche of document in their possession, their own base, and now the Democratic base, nobody's going to buy it. Because that's the thing about conspiracies that you stoke. Nobody believes you. And here's the other problem for Donald Trump. He's losing his grip on MAGA. And there's a new, and this is what he doesn't get.
Yeah,
he does not. MAGA was built around a cult of personality. No more. No more. Much like the French Revolution ate its young in 1793. Much like the Bolshevik. I mean, there's a great story. I just want to say it because it's so relevant to this, right? After Lenin died in 1924, eventually Stalin seized power. And around 1929, 1930, he was fighting with Lenin's widow over the direction of the Soviet Union. And he had already consolidated power. And he turned to her and he basically told her if she didn't stop, if she didn't cut the shit, they would find another widow for Lenin. They were just going to pretend that she never existed and that they were going to replace her with, some flunky widow. I say this to say that this is what's happening right now in MAGA. It is now matured, but the revolution needs to continue for the grievances to continue. So who's taking over now? It's not Erica Kirk,
No.
Who's basically monetizing her grief and her proximity to Trump.
Yeah.
And where Charlie Kirk was successful, Charlie Kirk wanted to have public executions and have little kids watch them. The bloodlust made him so successful. Her, like, I forgive everybody and Jesus and all of that, that's not going to fly for this crew. They want blood. They want blood. So who's giving them the blood?
Yeah.
Who's the new ascendant? It's Nick Fuentes and it's Candace Owens.
Yeah.
People
oh
who
my God.
deny
Yeah.
the Holocaust, the people who praise Hitler, the people who say the stuff out loud that is the last taboo.
Yep.
And who are critical of Trump and are still gaining followers because of it.
Yep.
Trump is over. Trump, if you're ever at Animal Farm, Trump is like the original old pig who dies, right? And then the ones who brought the revolution, along with that old pig, eventually get killed more and more and more and more and more until they're basically erased. That's what's about to happen to MAGA 1.0.
Yep.
It's terrifying as shit. Because
Yes.
if you think it can't get worse, it will get worse.
Oh,
Right?
100%. And our side needs to be ready because the split will weaken them. And in that moment of weakening, the opposition needs to be ready to step in and seize power in a functional and democratic way. But Candace Owens even was on, I think it was Piers Morgan the other day, going on and on and on about how is it Bridget Macron? I always don't know.
Brigitte Macron. Yep.
Okay, I don't know. I was like, if there's another French way of saying her name that I'm not saying, that she has a penis and this was her old name, and she kept going on and on and on. And Piers Morgan was like, stop it. And this isn't true. And she's like, yes, it is.
Platforming her, but he's platforming her.
Right. And getting clicks because it was all over.
Yeah.
And just like he had Nick Fuentes on the other day. And it is of the same world of Tucker Carlson, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is another arm of this as well. And it is America first. It's MAGA and America first. These are the two things.
Yeah.
And there is some overlap, but for the most part, I think America first is going to be the heir apparents of this right-wing movement in this country. And it is scary.
I mean, look, I think history tells us how the story usually ends, right? The men who start revolutions rarely survive them. They're too compromised by success. They're too tethered to reality. They're too recognizable. And the future, typically in those situations, belongs to those who were never burdened by governing, never forced to deliver, and never tempted to moderate. And that's what's happening right now. And Turning Point USA will keep hosting conferences. They'll organize students around elections and pretend it could steer the movement back towards something marketable. And Trump will keep insisting that he alone can save America. And the new extremists will keep sneering at both of them, calling them weak, compromised, and obsolete.
Yep. Meanwhile, the United States of America becomes and remains less safe, weakened on a world stage. And we have the director of the FBI going on podcasts with his girlfriend, funding security for her, while he has FBI agents in Providence, Rhode Island, just kicking around in the snow, literally kicking around in the snow outside the school, looking for evidence. And how many days have passed now? And Shannon Watts actually made a kind of joke, but not joke today on Twitter. And she was like, I hope that the shooter's father turns him in, because in America, this seems to be the only way we catch mass shooters and murderers now, is when the fathers turn them in.
And while this is all happening, and Trump keeps replaying his greatest hits, whether it's rigged elections or unfair judges or mean reporters, these new radicals are writing a totally different script.
Yep. And they're sick of them.
Yeah. And it's one that treats democracy itself as a joke and pluralism as a weakness. So as much as we're sitting here talking about Trump's third term, will he, won't he, the fact that he's even equivocating is weakness to those people.
Yeah.
And, the movement is no longer impressed by Trump's complaints about the media or his performative feuds with CNN, because those feel quaint now. The audience has developed a tolerance and it wants stronger stuff to get that high.
Mm-hmm.
They want more transgression. They want more enemies, more radicalism. And few things are more transgressive than praising Hitler, denying the Holocaust, and trashing the president who first brought them to the promised land.
Yeah.
That's how, they're not burdened by governing. Like Nick Fuentes is not looking to run for anything. Neither is Candace Owens, I don't think, maybe.
No.
They're looking to there's no running in their worldview. There's no democracy.
Yeah. They're hateful ideologues who want to cash in too. I mean, there's that part of it.
Right.
And it's controlling the narrative, and it was at Moms for Liberty. I think this was in 2023. It was that woman from Moms for Liberty who was talking about Hitler in a newsletter, and then went on stage and said that Hitler was fine, Hitler was great. I mean, again, like, this is like white women in their little like mom groups and stuff talking about Hitler. Now, mind you, these women are terrible, but like, again, it's softening all of this and massaging it to a point that the public becomes accustomed to it, and the shock wears off, and it doesn't seem shocking anymore. And so from, the speech last night to the plaques, to this is, yeah. It's a hell of a time to be alive, Julie.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Amazon is selling out like the industrialists of old in the 1930s to Trump. And, 40 million is just a small investment.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever else this documentary cost them, let's say it cost them 100 million altogether.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
40 million. Did George Clooney ever get 40 million for a film?
I doubt it.
And probably she gets some of the back end, which there's not going to be a back end, because unless, they make the RNC stream it to every single Republican club in the world. But
possible. I mean, it's like when one of them writes a book and then they buy
it's when Donald Trump Jr. wrote a book.
Bestseller.
It. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very funny. They're so desperate to be good at stuff. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and then they try to buy being good at stuff. And even then, you can't be good at stuff if you're not good at stuff. Like, and they want to be pretty. They want to be told they're pretty. They want to be told they're good writers and good actors and performers and all of these things. And it's like, maybe if they just gone and done a musical, Julie, instead of gotten into politics or political commentary, we'd all be living in a more peaceful world. And I do believe that.
Well, on that note, Michelle, it is so good to see you. I think I have to double check, but I think Olga and I are on for 11 a.m. This morning, Vox Americana. And so we'll see everybody back here, Olga and I, and then Michelle and I will see you back here on Friday, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we got to figure out Christmas, Michelle. We got to figure out what we're doing for that week. I am around, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll be not here, but around.
Okay. All right, everybody. Good to see everybody. And I'll see you at 11 with Olga, and I'll see everybody back here with Michelle. Michelle and I will see everybody back here at 11.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm confused.
And and just for everybody, our podcast with Bonnie Watson Coleman dropped. It is on Apple Podcast. It is on this channel as well, under the Mayday podcast. You can go and check that out. And of course, as always, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps us immensely get the word out to all the like-minded people. So go check that out.
And everybody.
And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye,
See
everybody.
you later. Bye.